On the bench today, we have the ThorpyFX Judge Dredd Lawbringer. We're going to understand the topology of this pedal, how it works. We're going to understand how the controls work and what they do, and we'll probably do a mod as well. But first, please like and subscribe because that's what fuels the channel. And now let's take a look at the block diagram of the pedal. The Lawbringer is essentially the gunshot pedal. And what is the gunshot pedal? Well, it's got a control here called caliber and a control here called gain. Now let's take a look at these two pedals. One is a FET Boost and the other is a tube screamer. And that essentially is what makes up the gunshot, which ultimately makes up the Lawbringer. This is a FET Boost. This controls the gain, and that's the equivalent of the caliber control on the gunshot and the Lawbringer. And then this is the gain on the Lawbringer, and then this, the volume and the tone are essentially the same. However, Thorpy has adjusted the voicing of the pedal with the gunshot and the Lawbringer, so the values are slightly different in the filter sections of these two pedals. I've got the Lawbringer or gunshot hooked up. Clean sound. And you notice I've got caliber and the gain turned down and the other's just past halfway. Let's switch it on. Okay, sounds about just a bit of tone coloring on there. So now let's run the boost section. So this is the FET Boost. Turn up to about here. Alright, moderate. Let's crank it up some more. So that's single coil. Let's go to humbucker. So this is the FET booster that's overdriving my front end of the amp with a decent voltage. But it's also overdriving this section as well, which is a soft clipper, but it uses blue diodes, and we'll talk about that in a second. So now let's crank up the gain. So with the humbucker, that's quite overpowering. Let me switch over to single coil, so now it's noisy. Well, let me turn this down because I think I'm just driving this guy too hard. So that was a single coil. Now go over to the humbucker. That sounds alright. I can hear some of the mids poking through, typical of the soft clipping and the tone circuit of a tube screamer, but this is definitely shaped differently. It's more bassier. I do own a gunshot, and I've actually modded mine, so it's to get rid of some of that low end, and we'll look at that in a second. Okay, I'm going to take it apart and we're going to look inside. We're going to put a signal generator on it, and we're going to look at it on the scope, and we're going to do some FFTs on it, and we're going to see why when this is down versus when this is up, it sounds much better. All right, let's take it apart. So we've got the back off. Let's take a look at it. That circuit looks pretty similar to the gunshot that I have, and the layout and everything looks like it's all in the same places. So this is the op amp. There's two op amps in this chip. One is for the gain of the tube scream style circuit, and the other half of it is used for the tone shaping circuit, the tone knob. And then somewhere around here we have the FET. I'm going to think this is it here, Q1. I'll put the scope on it when we put the signals through it in a minute and verify that. And so this is the FET gain or the FET boost, which then feeds the tube screamer with clipping, and then that feeds the tone control. So that's the two op amps in there, one's tone and one's gain. Now, tube screamer uses, I think from memory, uses silicon diodes which have a 0.7 volt drop. And so what that means, these are soft clippers, that when the signal exceeds 0.7, it's going to kind of clip the gain of the pedal. And these are blue diodes, and they're massive, you know, in terms of forward voltage drop, much bigger than reds or greens. I think it's about 3.4 volts voltage drop. So this pedal's going to be louder than, say, a tube screamer because it's going to take a lot more voltage voltage to make it clip. So it's going to have a lot of cleans, and then as you turn the gain up, we're going to start to see these blue LEDs come on and start the clipping process. So that's quite interesting. So why don't I now get the scope out, turn some instrumentation on, look how the signals propagate through this pedal. I've got the scope hooked up now, and the pedal is on, and the yellow is the output of the FET, because I'm really interested to see how that works, and the blue is the output of the pedal. Both the caliber, or the gain for the FET Boost, is set to the minimum, and the gain is set to minimum, but you can still see we've got a shark fin going on there, so there is distortion, and I can see that the blue LEDs are slightly on. So we've got 800 millivolts coming in at a kilohertz from the signal generator, which represents a nice strum on the, say, a humbucker. So now let's turn up the caliber, which is the gain of the FET Boost. And you can see the output's going to a shark, more of a cleaner shark fin. But what I'm really interested in is how far does this go before it goes out of control. And that's at about 3/4. That's quite interesting. So the FET Boost is a very clean, well-biased boost circuit. You know, I should put a switch on there and just use this as a boost as well. Unlike the EP booster, which was biased so the top was clipped off, this one doesn't start clipping till past 70%. So this is good. So that's a very clean boost driving the tube screamer. So I'm just going to back that off. And then that's at about 1/4, 25%. Now let's turn up the gain on the tube screamer. And you can see I got a lovely shark fin going on there, which is going to create a nice set of harmonics. And then if I turn this guy up some more, it's just hard to reach around the back. Turn it up some more. You can see we're adding more harmonics to the filter section, or the soft clipper. And it's going super shark fin. And if we just bang it up max, it's just a crazy distortion. Fantastic. Now, I'd like to see how, in terms of harmonic response, the boost section interacts with the gain section and the soft clippers. I've got the pedal now hooked up, and I'm doing an FFT. So this is the output from the scope, and then I FFT it and put it in this window. So this sine wave is 1 kilohertz, and this peak here represents 1 kilohertz. The next line here is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and all the way up to 10. And then in the other direction, it counts down to 0 hertz. So let's put on the caliber and turn that up a little bit. You can see we've generated a harmonic set. We're at about 25%, just over 25, 30%. And we have, this is our fundamental, 1 kilohertz. This is 2 kilohertz. This is 3 kilohertz, and these are quite strong. And then we've got some smaller ones here. But there's both odd and even harmonics going on in the pedal. Now, if I turn up the gain, you can see our harmonic set becomes a lot more richer. And turn this guy down, what do we see once the averaging switches off? Yeah, we lose some of the high frequencies. Yeah, the harmonic, well, we're really driving this guy hard now, so that's obviously going to create a lot of harmonics. And your tone switch gets rid of the higher order, or reduces the amplitude of the higher order ones, but we don't want it to sound too muffled, so we put it about there, we know that's a good sound. Interesting. So it's time to do some mods now. So we're going to do 2 mods. We're going to change the op amp, which is easy. Actually, we'll look at a few op amps and compare them. And then the other mod is we're going to adjust the low end frequency response by changing one of the filters and putting another resistor in parallel with an existing resistor. So let's go ahead and do that now. Changing the chip is probably one of the easiest things to do. Thorpy, with his graciousness, put the chip socketed, so it's quite easy to swap out for a pin equivalent. Stock is a 072. So let's take a look at the 072 now and what the harmonic response of that chip looks like, and then let's compare it to a few others. Note the first harmonic's quite high, then the second harmonic's a little lower, is high again. Okay, let's look at the next one. LM358. Now the first harmonic's smaller, second harmonic's larger, third harmonic's smaller, fourth harmonic's larger. So again, a different harmonic response. JRC 4558, classic. First harmonic's large, second harmonic's a bit smaller, third harmonic's same height almost. You can see everyone is different. So let's try the final one now. The OPA 2134. 1 kilohertz, 2 kilohertz, no harmonic, 3 kilohertz or harmonic, 4 kilohertz, no harmonic, 5 kilohertz, harmonic 7, 9, etc. So those are all odds. So there's no evens. Now this is a very interesting chip, as quite a few of the really original old gunshots were sold with this chip in it. So this is the Gucci chip. Up to a certain serial number, they were this chip and then got replaced by the TL072 that we looked at. And this is a great upgrade. So we'll do a tone test between the two once we go over the low end frequency response. So this is the mod. I flipped the pedal over, took the back off, and both the pedals in the same position. There's a 4K7 here. So this is part of the negative feedback circuit. And this resistor and a cap go down to ground, and that controls the low end of the clipping circuit and is a contributor to the overall tone. The cutoff frequency on, say, a tube screamer is like 600 or 700 hertz, and the cutoff on one of these guys in this filter section is more like 300 hertz, so that's more bassier. So what I did was put a 2.2 in parallel with a 4.7. You see the wires go across there. And that changed my cutoff frequency into something like 750, 800. So it sounds, for me, for my tonal palette, it's a bit more mid-peaked and a bit less bass. I've got the pedals hooked up now. Clean sound. Let's engage the Judge Dredd, the Lawbringer. Sounds fantastic. Let's engage the modded pedal. So this has got the Gucci chip, the OPA, and it's got a filter. So the filter is out right now. So it feels like there's less distortion, and there is because there's less harmonics. The OPA was created for high fidelity, so it's got a really low harmonic distortion. So let's take out now some of those low frequencies by putting in the filter. Fantastic. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.